Everybody, it's Jordan with PDQ.com. We're back with another of our video series on the PowerShell tutorials. You probably noticed the thumbnail is still embarrassing. I refuse to bring donuts to Jake. It's going to be never at this point. It's a point of principle. So I guess this time we're going to go over arrays and hash tables, and they look similar, but they function quite a bit different when you get down to it. So an array is basically a list or a collection of information. A hash table is like a dictionary almost with a key value and a key value pair where you can combine them together. So we'll go over here. I'll show you. We'll build an array real quick, and there's a couple ways you can do it. But basically, if you grab information and there's a whole list, if you throw that into a variable, it's going to make it as an array. If there's a single entry, it's just going to be just an object itself. But if there's multiple entries, it's going to be an array. So we're going to come in here, array equals get child item, and then we're looking at all the C drive. That's a big one. But if you come in here, we'll do array and we'll pipe that into get member. We're not supposed to use shortcuts, but here I am. You can see in here we're grabbing an array of both file info and directory info. So it just basically goes through, grabs all that, puts it into array. I mean, if we look at this one, every array is going to have the ability where you could do basically a count, just .count. It's going to tell you how many items are in that one. Just so you know, for my example, if I'm going to show in how you access arrays using one that has 4,630 objects, probably not best. So we're going to come in here, we're going to build a test array with 1 through 6 because, I don't know, I'm clever like that. My examples are all relevant to real world, and from there everything's just peachy. All right, so right here we have the test is 1 through 6. If you come in, if you just type out test variable, it's going to print out the information. But if we wanted to do something for each one of those, that's something where you could do either for each loop. You have a couple options. There's for each, and then you can basically say for each object in the array, or you can grab the array and pipe that into a for each object. Functionally, they're the same. There's just a little bit difference in how it works. If you're dealing with large amounts of data, you're probably going to want to measure those commands and see which one is going quicker for you. All right, but we're going to come in here now. We're going to say basically for each item in the test array that we made, the item is greater than 4. Is basically we're testing that out. So we're in that one, and you can see 1 through 4 are not greater than 4. 5 and 6 are. Boy, the real world examples just keep on piling up. But that's just a quick way that you can see. You can basically see how you can for each item you have in there, how you can do something against it. In this case, I'm just doing a comparison. But if you wanted to print something out or modify a file, you'd put that within the for each loop, and it's going to go through and make a lot of changes for you. If you were looking to add to that array, you could do $. We'll use test because that's the one that was valid for using. Plus equals, not plus plus equals 7. Export typer there. You see, it doesn't come back with anything, but if you come down here and type in test again, you can see 7 has been added to it. So it's just pretty quick to add to that one. All right, so another way you can make an array is basically it's a @ symbol and parentheses. That's what specifies array. If you're doing a hash table, it's going to be @ symbol and then the curly brackets. So we're going to show one here, a cleverly named hash table. And we're grabbing computer name with an IP 86.75.3.30.9 for the user Jenny. I'm going to run that one. Okay, and you see if that one, now that we've created it, if we print that one out, you can see it comes down here. It has the name and the value of each one of those. So it's kind of a pair. So the user is Jenny, the IP's name. So if you're only looking to grab one, you would do $ hash table. You could do a couple of options to get this one. You could do a bracket and say IP, the square bracket, not the, and it's just going to give you just the IP, or you could do like just hash table name. And they'll give you the same information. So there's a couple ways you can access specific key value pairs within a hash table just by pointing it out. You could add a new one to that one if we did hash table dot clever example. And just equals, we'll say, I don't know, Titan, because that word just popped in my head for some reason. I couldn't even tell you where that came from. Run that one. Now if we come in here and we take a look at our hash table again, you can see that clever example has been added with the value of Titan. We're going to actually rebuild that hash table because I'm using it in a later example. Spoiler. And within there, the order you put it in there is not necessarily the order it's going to print. You can come to the top of it and do in square brackets ordered. And that's going to make it so exactly how it builds in the table is how it's going to print for you in the future as well. It's just a way to make it so if you're expecting it to show up in a certain way, you can force it to show up that way. All right, and so I guess the next question is each have their own value, but could you build an array of hashes? And the answer is yes. We're going to come in here, grab another hash table. So we've got hash table 1. And we're going to build this one. It's just going to be $array o hashes equals, and then we're going to specify with the @ sign, then the regular bracers, and then both of our hash tables. Table and hash table 1. All right, we run that one, and if we print off the array o hashes, I'm sorry. You see here, it prints off everything down a single list, and that looks like that's not so useful, but that's just because you printed off each one in a row like that. If you come in here and you put back in array of hashes and you do a count, you can see the count is only 2. So the user IP and name, each one of those is considered one item within that array. So the way we could use that one would be, we'll just say, since we have stuff for computers, we're going to build a new Active Directory computer. So we have in here the for each entry in the array of hashes. And we're coming in here, new AD computer, specifying the name and the SAM account name. That's both the same thing. It generally is an Active Directory as well. It's just both of those fields are required for the name. And then we're going to build a description off of that says basically this computer is used by whatever the user we specified. And you can see there we have the $ parentheses around our variable, and that's what makes it so you can grab the individual item within that entry. And then we have what if, because if I actually built computers in our domain, the domain admins get super angry at me, and we're just going to try to avoid that. But if we run that, you can see it come in here. Basically, with this one, it will come in and it will build each computer. I didn't specify the path, so it goes to the default computers on that one. If you want to put it somewhere specific, you could. But that's just a way you can, it's 2 different ways to store data, and combining them both makes it so you can really get complex. You can go through all that data and without having to do each one, make just a lot of massive changes to your environment. Hopefully this helps you out, get you started. Once you have grasp of what kind of data you have or what kind of table you have, you really can start building from that and get pretty complex with PowerShell. For PDQ.com, I'm Jordan.